Hello and welcome to a live Kerfefe break on Program with Keri Smith. This is a live show where we talk about what's in the news, what's on our minds. We hang out with the fellowship, the wrong thinkers, the wrong knitters, the wrong gamers, the wrong sitters, the wrong speakers, all of the wrong. We hang out with all the wrong and have a good time. Give it up for Two Sisters and Some Yard in the chat who's modding today. I haven't seen the pirate yet. Maybe he's around. Oh, wait, I did see the pirate. Hello, pirate. And just one quick announcement. If you are in the Austin, Texas area, or if you don't mind traveling, I'm going to be hosting Minds Fest, which is coming up April 15th at the Vulcan Theater. And I would love for you to come. There are tickets available at minds.com. There are going to be incredible speakers like Peter Boghossian, Daryl Davis, let's see, the Timcast people, Luke Radowski, Ian Crossland. I believe Tim Pool is performing. There's going to be music and comedy as well as panelists. Jamie Kilstein's a comedian who's performing. Anyway, April 15th, come out and have fun with all the wrongness. Yes, Robert Lau, we are the wrong. And that's my only announcement. And so today I'm very excited. I have two returning guests, two friends joining me just to talk about what's on our mind, what's in the news, have some fun. Please welcome Mike Harlow and Tracy from Keto and Krime. Hey.
I've missed you guys.
I've missed you. You were just telling us before we started, you're in New York and it's snowing. Right?
And then my apartment is so weird. Like one room is freezing, this room is like an oven. So I give up. I'm just waiting.
I'm like, you need to have your knitted cap on and all of your knitted wear.
I have it in there. I can never wear it on here though, because it thinks it's a green screen.
Oh, I see. And Tracy, I love your Irish tree. Tell me about what's going on behind you.
Well, we leave our Christmas trees up all year and we just change them with the holiday. So it was a Valentine's tree. Now it's St. Patty's. And then we'll go into patriotism for all of summer, for Memorial and Labor Day, 4th of July. And so, yes, I am actually British and Scottish, but I am appropriating all the Irish today. So
you've inspired me. So I've never done that. But this year I did leave the small white Christmas tree up and I turned it into a Valentine's Day tree. It was a love tree. Nice. And I think I haven't taken it down yet. I think I might do a St. Patty's Day. I only have a few days, but I think I might do it now that I've seen this.
Yeah. Well, no, we will do Easter too. I forgot Easter, but there will be bunnies and maybe a Jesus up there.
Smart. I don't take decorations down either. That's kind of smart.
Well, my mother-in-law was a crafter, so she makes all these decorations. So she makes most of them. So, we have to have something for her to show her rares. That my subscribers over on my channel love it. They get angry if I'm behind a holiday. I get nasty comments about the tree needs to change.
I love it. I love it. And it's just a fun way to celebrate and be festive all year.
Yeah.
It makes me happy.
I just found out, I've been told by these Irish people that it's St. Patrick's month. I didn't know it was a whole month.
I didn't.
It's a month now?
Well, I don't know if that's true. All the holidays seem to be expanding. We had International Women's Day. Now we have a month. It just keeps getting, and it used to be Gay Pride was 1 day and now it's 3 months.
I feel like Gay Pride goes on and on and on and on. I see Pride stuff all year.
If the alphabet people can have half the calendar year, the Irish can have their damn month.
Their month, yes. Well, welcome, guys. We are going to talk about, I've got a couple things I wanted to hit today. And then if there's anything that you guys want to talk about, let's do it. I don't know if you've seen the updates on this story yet, but lots of people are sharing this. This is the Kayla Lemieux, I believe is his name. This is the teacher, the shop teacher in Canada, at a high school in Canada, who made headlines a few months ago because students were taking photos of his gigantic, huge breasts. So he used to come into class as a male, apparently, and then he transitioned and now wears this blonde wig and these gigantic fake breasts with not just gigantic, but they have nipples protruding, like on purpose. And the students have to watch this and see this. And so he made headlines because the school board was defending him and saying this was part of his identity and we have to be respectful, even though parents were up in arms about their kids having to basically be part of this guy's fetish, I think. And so they were defending him at first. This was a few months ago. He's now on paid leave, though, because some photos came out that people are saying they're photos of him. Now we're about to find out he says they're not photos of him. But these photos came out. His neighbors said, oh, yeah, he doesn't wear the costume at home very much. He doesn't wear the wig or the big boobs. He dresses like a man. And so this caused, anyway, just let me read the headline. This is from March 3rd today. Kayla Lemieux, Canadian teacher with size Z prosthetic breast, placed on paid leave. There he is there.
What goes past that, though? What if he decides he wants to go a size up?
Triple Z.
Yeah.
Right?
My sister had to have a reduction because she really was a natural F. And so she was huge for her back. She had to get a breast reduction. But up until that point, I thought those were the biggest I've ever seen. But I really want him to lean too far into that circular saw. But
right. It's dangerous.
I want to see what's in them.
Yeah. Are they balloons? I don't know. Okay, so the Canadian high school teacher who wears massive Z-cup prosthetic breasts in class has been placed on leave after the Post revealed that they call him she, of course, that she rarely wears them outside of school. The Halton School District confirmed that Oakville Trafalgar High School shop teacher Kayla Lemieux was put on paid leave Tuesday. Quote, while not currently on an active assignment, the teacher remains employed with the school board, with the school district, said a spokesperson. So this is talking about how the in Canada, Education Minister Stephen Lecce and Halton Region MPPs Natalie Pierre, Stephen Crawford, and this other person whose last name I'm not even going to try to read, Effie something, rebuked the school board for having abdicated its responsibility by failing to put the interests and safety of students first. One mother told the school board that, quote, forms of identity and expression presented in the school environment must be scrutinized against the child's safeguarding practices. And it's important to note that this high school has a dress code for students. They're not allowed to show protruding nipples.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
Like these nipples here, these fake nipples, that's not allowed if you're a student.
I don't get the appeal.
No, it's well, okay, there's a couple people in the chat saying they think this guy's a troll. I want to get your take on it. Let me just read a couple more things because I don't actually think he's a troll. So they're talking about how the board was remaining quiet. Photos and videos taken in school have shown her wearing tight clothing with large nipples protruding under the fabric of her top. The saga gained international attention and came to a head after the Post revealed last month that once outside the school, Lemieux often ditches the breasts, the wig, and makeup and appears as a man, which sent shockwaves through the district. Of course, because this person is claiming to the school, this is who I am, this is my identity, and this is what I look like, and you have to accept me. So here are some of the photos that neighbors say this is him, and that he mostly dresses like this, like in sweatpants, like a man, without the breasts, without the wig, without the makeup. When
he's not even good looking. Like he's fat. If he lost some weight, he could be halfway decent.
Yeah.
He's just a plain dude.
He's a plain dude. So this is where the story gets, I think, a little crazier. So this linked to another interview, which I'm going to pull up so we can look through it. But I wasn't aware of this. This is an interview that happened, I guess, a few weeks ago, where this person, Kayla, sat down an in-person interview with the New York Post and went on to say that those pictures are not him. And here's the headline: Canadian teacher with size Z breast, Kayla Lemieux, spectacularly claims that they're real. Okay, he says that those breasts are real.
Oh my God. You know who he looks like as a woman? Remember Home Alone? He looks like Buzz's girlfriend. What?
I don't remember Buzz's girlfriend. Let me see.
You don't remember Buzz, your girlfriend? Woof.
Well, it was just the picture in his Foot Locker that Kevin.
And it was a man.
Woof.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at a picture right now. I can see it. We'll have to put that on the screen in a second. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here's a picture of him. Of course, it looks like in a small airplane, dressed as a woman with the makeup and.
I hope those jugs don't crash the plane. They'll weigh it down.
Right.
Well, they'll have some flotation device if he goes into the water.
Right. It'd be a nice cushion if he was skydiving. Okay. So here's the interview that's, I think, the craziest. Now, this one, I had not read it until last night. This is from February 19th. The Canadian high school teacher who goes to work wearing size Z prosthetic breasts incredibly claimed that they're not fake and denied being the person photographed leaving home without them, but acknowledged that she can't prove it. Quote, "I'm not wearing prosthetic breasts. These are real," Kayla Lemieux told the Post during an exclusive interview Saturday. Lemieux, who wore women's clothing with a blonde wig, makeup, and her enormous breasts, said that she's, quote, "not a transgendered person, but that she was born intersex."
Get the fuck out of here.
Yes. Yes. Now, and then get this quote, "My condition is classified as gigantomastia, which can also be referred to as macromastia or breast hypertrophy," Lemieux said during a sit-down interview at a cafe in Burlington near Toronto.
Is that what your sister had, Tracy?
I don't know if they ever termed it like that. She just had really big boobs. And I don't know what the doctor ever officially diagnosed. I just know she had to have breast reduction surgery at the age of. They actually made her wait until 18 before they would even do the breast reduction surgery. So she had to get it at 18.
Well, Kayla says it's rare, so I don't know if your sister. I've never heard of this. Quote, "It's rare. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. It affects women on a very rare basis." Oh, so it affected you, a man? Okay. But in my case, I believe, and my doctor thinks, because I have XX chromosomes as well. Okay, so he's claiming he's a woman. He has XX chromosomes. That has something to do with it, and hormone sensitivity to estrogen has caused it. When pressed for proof, Lemieux, who spoke in a soft, high-pitched voice with a pronounced
I'll bet he did,
said that she had never received a formal diagnosis.
Of course not. When she got into the Intersex,
who diagnosed you? Where did you get that from? WebMD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, my mother-in-law, who works at a research hospital and in research, we've had a long conversation about intersex people, and she has told me that they are 98 to 99 point something % one gender, and then they just have like the sex organs of both, and they're usually internal. So that's what makes somebody intersex.
Yeah.
And she said 99% of them, whatever they appear to be, their first, not their secondary sex characteristics, but the main ones, that's what they usually end up identifying it as. And then they just remove either the testes or the ovaries or whatever they have that doesn't match up with what they look to be. That's usually what happens in those cases.
Yes.
But they have either XY or XX chromosomes. It's just a mutation on the sex organs. That's what it is.
I think that this person, he's relying on people not being very familiar with what intersex is and just thinking that everyone's ignorant. And okay, you look like a man completely. You are a man, but you have XX chromosomes, and somehow that's caused you to have a rare condition where you look like a man, except you have huge real breasts, gigantic real breasts with protruding nipples. And but you have to wear a wig because you don't have lady hair. This is him. Look at him.
Oh,
this is him with the makeup, and look at the makeup smeared around his mouth.
I want to see him at 5 o'clock and see that 5 o'clock shadow come in. Unless he's had hair removal or something, but
no, you could see the maybe 10 o'clock shadow.
Yeah.
And these alphabet people, they use intersex as they think that that's their ultimate trump card. Everyone's intersex. It's the same as like, you know, maybe there's a very select few number of people who have 9 fingers. And so it would be like saying, oh, we don't know how many fingers human beings have. It's just unknowable. It's a spectrum. Yeah. Shut up. Just shut up.
They use intersex people.
Think of these people.
The trans activists use them as a shield. That's true.
Have they ever actually spoken to a true intersex person and see what they thought about it? Probably not. So they're appropriating their identity and putting on them as a costume. And most intersex people you would never know because they blend in with society, and you never know because it's internal. It has to do with their having both sex organs. That's all it is.
Yes.
And it's probably not they're going around advertising that shit. I wouldn't.
No one's going to come and say, I have ovaries and testes. Who's going to say that?
I love the kind of sloppy way he's put on his lipstick here. It makes me think of the Maria Bamford, the comedian. It makes me think of her bit where she's like talking about smearing lipstick all over her mouth. Like, baby, look pretty now, mommy. It's just, I don't know if anybody's seen that bit. But it's wrong. So this is the fact that his lipstick is so off kind of makes me think, well, maybe those people who think he's trolling are correct. However, I'm about to make the case for why I don't think he's trolling. One last thing from this article though. So not only does he say he's actually a woman, like XX chromosomes, and that he's intersex and that the breasts are real and he has a rare condition, but he's never received a formal diagnosis. He also says those photos of that guy coming out of his apartment, the one that his neighbors say is him, that he says it's not him. Lemieux also denied being the person who was photographed by the Post last week driving out of her apartment building and walking on a sidewalk a short time later. There's the nip. This is how he goes to class to teach your kids with those nipples there. That person who was dressed in men's clothing and did not have breasts bore a striking resemblance to the teacher and was identified by a neighbor as Lemieux. Quote, I can't tell you who that is because I don't want to bring anyone else into this. I don't want that person being thrown all over the media, but it wasn't me, Lemieux said. This is who I am. This is how I look. You've been talking to people in my building, but what they're telling you is harsh and untrue. I am always going out looking the way I am. So he says this isn't him, even though neighbors say
that was his alter. Is that their name? That's their name, the dissociative identity people?
Yes, they have alternate personalities.
Yeah, that's what they called it, right? Though that's my alter.
Yeah. I actually, you're joking about what I think is maybe actually going on. I really do believe, I don't think this person, like a lot of people are saying, and even in the chat here, let me find some of the comments. Blarbful says it must be a troll, LOL. Robert says troll or groomer. And Dan says he's trolling everyone. Okay, so I have friends who think it's a troll too. They think this is a man who decided to pretend to be this trans woman with these huge breasts so he could make a point about woke culture and make a point that, like, you know, the school's going to protect him because of his quote unquote identity, just to show how absurd everything is in the absolute failed state of education. Some people think he's trolling, that this is all to make a point, that he's actually secretly based, I guess. True. I think that this is a man who has so many mental health issues that he possibly believes that he's like two different people. Maybe he thinks he has different personalities. And I also think if he's going to school, if it's true that he doesn't wear that stuff very much except when he's at school, I think that he gets off on wearing it specifically around the kids. Like, I think he likes involving them in his fetish. That's why he doesn't wear it out and about, because he's not getting off on that. He gets off on being in this position of power and authority over these students and forcing them to look at his gigantic breasts with the nipples protruding. Like, it's a fetish that necessitates there being a voyeur, a young person who's a voyeur. That's what I think's happening.
Well, it's kind of like.
I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, That makes sense too. I was gonna say I think he's trolling, and to be completely honest, I'm a little bit jealous. I wish I would have thought of that. I like it's
you think
fucking
he's secretly
genius.
based? You do?
I really wish I would have thought of this whole routine before he did, because it's
You-
genius. If it turns out that this is all a hoax, it's like Andy Kaufman level genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's either or.
I think you might have changed my mind though, Keri. I think he might just be nuts.
It's either or. He's either based, and this is the world's biggest troll, or he is mentally disturbed with a fetish that he likes to push on others. It's kind of like my prediction for like Leah Thomas was that in 5 years he would be living as a man again, and we would not never hear about it again. But it turns out that she is dating like another transgender woman, and they do have like this bizarre fetish going on. It's all over their Instagram. Kind of thing. So where they like to, they're like in this big polyamorous kind of thing, and they do fetishize like BDSM and all this stuff. So that broke. So
It's autogynephilia. It's
Yeah.
where they get off on seeing themselves dressed as a woman in these some kind of fetishized version of what they think womanhood is about.
They're
I
so
don't know if
cute because they look so good.
right. I don't want to give anyone nightmares, but I'll tell you, I'm not putting it on the screen because it's so disturbing. One of the most disturbing rabbit holes I've ever gone down is on Twitter. There's an account called Truny Tunes. And again, don't go there if you don't have a strong stomach. They're basically like libs of TikTok, except
They blocked me.
Why?
I mildly disagree. I challenged them on a point, and I guess they couldn't handle that.
Oh,
They were talking shit
wow.
about Blair.
Oh, that's strange. Oh, yeah. They're very hardcore. Like they're very just absolute. They're actually are what everyone gets called. They actually are trans exclusionary, but they on that account, they feature a lot of videos of these trans women, so these biological men who, in my opinion, have autogynephilia, who are not actually trans. A lot of them are old men. They do a lot of gross selfies and videos of themselves wearing lingerie and like clearly getting off on looking at themselves in the camera. They share these disgusting videos. One of them is a trans woman, so biological man, who does video after video on Twitter, is proud of it, does video after video of himself going into women's restrooms and masturbating with the camera going like in between, like, and if a woman comes out of the bathroom stall, he stops and pretends like he's fixing his hair or something, and then when she walks away, he masturbates again. Like just disgusting stuff. Yeah, I know it's gross. Don't go down this rabbit hole if you want to see some dark stuff that you can't unsee. But that's why I kind of think I've seen some of this fetish stuff and these guys who say that they're trans, but it's really about getting off on some forcing other people to be around their fetish. I think that's what this guy's about. That's just my opinion.
15 years ago, I was a assistant manager at a gay bar in Nashville. Great place, very upscale, had a lot of fun there, full of great people. But we had a group of heterosexual men that would come in once a month. They had their club meeting there, and they were cross-dressers. They were just cross-dressers. They weren't drag queens. They didn't live their lives. They just liked to come in and they were called the Tennessee Vows, like Tennessee Balls. They were the Tennessee Vows.
Yeah.
And they would just come in and wear their dresses and hang out with everybody. But now thinking back, I'm like, wow, was that like some gateway organization? Because it's really weird.
Yeah, there's this whole group of, I've known a person who, in my personal life, who would more accurately be put in the transvestite category, the autogynephilia category, who does not live as a woman, is a biological man, does not live as a woman, but likes to wear women's lingerie and stuff in a fetish way. Like those guys are now because of where society's moved with woke culture and the trans part of woke culture, the trans activist part, they're now coming out of the shadows and out of the darkness and saying, this is my identity. My fetish is my identity. Get with it. They're not, but I think a lot of people who genuinely have gender dysphoria, at least the people I've talked to, they're like, we're not like those guys. Like, I'm uncomfortable in my body. I want to be the other. It's not a fetish, right? It's not a sexual thing.
I have a trans woman who's a comedian who's a very good friend of mine. She lives in Arkansas, and she blends in. You would never know. It's like Blair White. You would never call, if you saw Blair White across the room, if you saw my friend across the room, you would never peg them as trans at all because they blend in. True people with gender dysphoria blend in.
Yes.
You know,
Not like this guy.
no.
No.
The more
This
I
is-
learn, I feel like I'm just a simpleton. Like, I don't need to know about the transvestite, the intersex. I'm like, I don't get the appeal of any of it.
The fetishes, you mean?
The polyamorous, I'm like, maybe I'm just like a very simple person.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm becoming more conservative in my personal views about fetishes and stuff. Again, obviously,
Yeah.
like somebody in the chat said, you should be able to free to do what you want in your
Yeah.
bedroom without. Okay, yeah, I agree. Legally, sure. It's just I morally I have a lot of disgust for it now. I'm
Just
kind of
keep
like
it out of
over
the
it. And
keep it out of the public.
Yeah. You don't need to take it into a classroom and subject students to it, children to it.
No. My
And
wife and I
people
don't
get
even show
pissed
affection in
off.
public. Who wants to see that shit?
Why is she always disappearing?
I don't know.
She's like
She'll be back.
freaking Houdini. Yeah, Tracy, though, people get pissed if you tell them, like, I don't get the appeal of this. Like, not saying you're back, we've missed you.
Sorry.
I was just saying people get pissed if you tell them, not that people shouldn't be allowed to do whatever they want, but if you just say, I think that's weird, I don't get the appeal, people get pissed. They don't want to hear that. You're just supposed to embrace, not just tolerate, but embrace absolutely everything. You know what I don't get the appeal? I don't get, have you seen these people who they dress like dogs?
Yes.
I don't get the appeal. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Did you hear that furries want to join our community, Mike?
No. What? There is no community. I'm not in their community.
No.
I'm like, I just want to take LGB, and the same actual gender dysphoric transgenders and just slice it right there. Everything else can just go over here, and we
No
can go
pun
back
intended.
to, well, yeah. What I grew up with was just LGBT.
Yeah.
And we were normal people who blended in with society and didn't parade our sexuality all over the place.
Well, even that, to be quite honest, it's funny because it's one of those subjects with the transes where I get criticized by both sides that are kind of hardline. But I'm starting to feel a little bit resentful that, like, there is no commonality between trans and someone's sexual orientation. And I agree with you that I feel for the people who are legitimately transsexuals and they are happier living their lives as the opposite sex. I have no problem with that. And I feel bad that they are getting lumped in with all of this. But on the other hand, I'm like, something that has absolutely nothing to do with us is the cause of destroying any semblance of a good reputation that any of us could have ever had.
I see your point because it's an identity. It's not a sexuality. Sexuality is truly something you can't control. It's, there's a lot of elements that go into it, but it is something that's most of the time out of the reach of your control. And I'm not saying their identity necessarily is either, but it is different. It is different. Identity is definitely different than sexuality.
But if your sexuality is you like going on parade dressed like a dog, try to change that.
Yeah. Right. Don't put it in the public. There's got to be places you can go. We don't need
to know.
Do you guys think that it was sort of a purposeful thing to attach this trans rights movement? And most of the people I know who push the trans ideology are not even trans. They're just like a lot of the people who push other parts of woke, like the people who claim to speak on behalf of Black people, for example. Most of the time it's woke white people. Like, do you think that the people who push the trans part of social justice, like, purposefully tried to come in the door on the back of gay people?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Because it's something, equal rights for gay people, and when I say gay people, I mean bi and lesbian too, was something I think most people could get behind. I mean, if you just put gay marriage on a ballot in this country now, I think it would definitely pass. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody could get behind the equal rights for tax-paying citizens. I mean, what is so controversial about that? And they thought they could ride that wave in with all this stuff, and this is what it's turned into. And in a way, I wonder if they don't have like because I believe as a gay person, I'm going to start losing rights because of these people. Somewhere out there, somebody's going to file a lawsuit to nullify, the Supreme Court case that gave us gay marriage. That's my fear, is because of these people who won't stop. We have equal rights. We made it. We're there. Shut the F up now and let's live our lives. I'm afraid we're going to start losing rights as a result.
A backlash.
Yeah.
Well, and the two things are in complete opposition to one another. Being gay requires nothing of you. It requires nothing from other people. If I'm talking to somebody about my relationship or my sexual orientation and they don't like that, they don't approve, doesn't affect my day any. It doesn't change anything. So sort of tolerance or acceptance of gay people requires nothing of you. The trans ideology demands everything of you. Change language, change biology, change everything for a minuscule amount of people.
Right. Well, the people who try and control your language and compel your speech and say you must do this, it's very different.
If you walk up to me and you look like a woman, I will call you she. Because if Blair White walked up to me, I would say she, her, because that's what she appears to be. But if you're look like a linebacker with a 5 o'clock shadow, I'm going to be compelled to call you he, because that's what you look like.
Right. Or if you've got your lipstick smeared all over your face.
Oh.
Like
As
a
if
clown.
any self-respecting woman would ever go out with that shade, first of all. And second of all, it all over.
Just a quick, interesting comment in the chat from Marby Dog. Hello, Marby Dog. He says, a backlash is coming, but that's what the authoritarians want. They want to provoke a violent response so they can justify the crackdown. This is something I've seen James Lindsay talking about quite a bit on Twitter, where he's saying they want...
Drag Floyd.
He calls it drag Floyd. He's like, just be ready. They're trying to provoke some kind of George Floyd-like event so they can... but around these issues, so around the gender identity issues, so that they can justify rioting in the streets, justify look at all this hateful transphobia. We have to do something about it, putting people on watch lists, that kind of stuff. I don't know.
I mean, right here in Tennessee, my home state of Tennessee, of which I'm really proud, we just passed 2 laws. One of them outlaws gender affirming care for people under the age of 18 and within the state borders of Tennessee. And the other outlaws any sort of sexually explicit show, whether it's stripper, burlesque, drag in public spaces. And you can be arrested if you take somebody under the age of 18 to 1, even if you're the parent. So I think that is awesome. They have to go back into the strip bar, into the strip club, into the gay bar, and into the burlesque bar where they belong.
Yes. And it's not about sexuality or gender identity, because burlesque is most often, when I've seen it, performed by quote unquote cis, I hate that fake word, but by people who are not trans, and by a lot of straight people. So it's like, yeah, you wouldn't take your kid to a burlesque show or a straight strip club. So why would you take them to one of these drag shows? Tracy, I saw that about Tennessee this morning. Force of Light Entertainment. These ladies are great. They're also in Tennessee. You should talk to them sometime, Tracy. They're fun.
Okay.
They responded to Gavin Newsom from California criticizing the bill that you're talking about that's going to ban taking kids to sexual performances. And so Gavin Newsom is sticking his nose into Tennessee's business, and he says Tennessee has the 8th highest murder rate in the nation. It ranks 44th among states for health outcomes, and this is what their governor's focused on. And then he links to
Okay, Gavin.
Okay, Gavin, exactly.
Okay, Gavin. Where does LA rank? Where does San Francisco rank?
Yeah.
And you know why Tennessee is even in the running? Because of freaking Memphis, which is a pit. And it is a liberal-run, Democratic, blue city. So why? Because the major cities that push Tennessee up on that list are liberal run, just like the entire state of California. So it's your own party's fault. It's your own woke ideology's fault that we even make that ranking. And health outcomes, lived here almost my whole life, never been denied a doctor's visit or an emergency room visit. I don't know where he gets his statistics.
Yeah. Force of Light had similar words for him, Tracy. They said, in your state, California is having a mass exodus. Maybe focus on not ruining California more.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy, I think, is aiming to run for president.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
This time, you think he will?
I don't know what time, but I think that's probably always a goal of someone like him, you know, to gain more power.
Hey, at least we don't have rolling blackouts here.
Yeah. Let's do a little more taunting to California.
Don't forget New York. Add New York in there, too. They're like two sides of the same shitty coin.
Okay, I want to show you one other thing. Did you guys see this? Can you see this on screen?
I haven't seen it, but I heard about it. So,
yeah, I saw that.
Okay, so Hersheys candy bars just released an ad, and I'll read to you this tweet describing it. It says, to celebrate International Women's Day, which is coming up March 8th, Hersheys uses a man for their advert to advertise their new women's chocolate, which is called Her for She. Get it? Hershey, Her for She. This is a true insult to women. International Women's Day is about celebrating the achievements of women, not men. Okay, let's watch.
My name is Faye Johnstone. I'm the executive director of Wisdom to Action. We can create a world where everyone is able to live in public space as their honest and authentic selves. See the women changing how we see the future at Hersheys Canada.
Okay.
I'm not surprised that they're Canadian. That was very Canadian energy.
Yeah. What's Canadian energy?
The emotionless smile.
Yeah.
The robotic.
VR and just says, Happy Women's Day. Show me your penis. No.
Why is this not culture? I don't know if you can't even call it culture appropriate. Why is this not woman face? Why is this not treated the same way as blackface or Latino face or something like that? Because that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, it is. I think okay. So my answer, I asked James Lindsay this once, and he gave a very academic answer. I'm going to give the answer for dummies, woke for dummies answer, which is on their hierarchy. So this ideology is all about viewing the world as a competition for power among identity groups. And they say we need to make everything equal and equitable by redistributing power between groups, like take power from this group, give it to this group, which requires us to judge and treat people differently based on what identity group they're in, which is racist and sexist and all the things, right? But they're saying there's just ends down the road. We're doing it because we want to get to a place where everyone's equal and all the power is equal, right? That's how they justify it. But in the victim pyramid, Surly Unicorn says, in that hierarchy of oppressions and identity groups, they have put Black people much higher at the top than they have women. So it's like always changing. Like one of the comedians I used to work with called it the stock market. It's always changing, like which is the most oppressed group. Trans women, which are biological men, are way up at the top now. Black people are at the top, but women, biological women, are not as high. They are on the victim hierarchy, but we're not as high. And so I don't think that we haven't reached a point where they would allow, like we've seen people do appropriation of race, like Rachel Dolezal. There've been others, lots of these leftists who've been pretending to be Latino, pretending to be Black, and have been outed and exposed. She was just the most famous one. And what we've seen happen is when they get exposed, the woke don't accept it. Not yet, because they view it as it's too offensive to actual Black people. But in terms of like this guy, for example, being the face of a Hershey bar commercial for women don't rank as high on the oppression scale, so they're not as worried, I think, about saying they're not as worried about offending women. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like rock, paper, scissors. It's like it only beats something that's pitted against it if they're lower on the hierarchy. Like woman only it's like rock, paper, scissors. Woman only beats like straight white man. But if it's woman versus trans or woman versus black, woman is lower on the hierarchy. So woman loses. They are, pardon the expression, they are the scissors in this analogy.
So silly.
Welcome.
Can we do?
But trans is at the top. Black is below trans. It is the trans world, and we're all just living in it
right now? Do you think there will be another oppressed identity that's going to rank higher at some point?
We'll see when they invent a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really think, I think this is going to turn around. I think we're going to win this part of the culture war. We may not win the culture war in its entirety, but I think we're going to win it. I really do, because I think now ordinary people are starting to wake up to a lot of things. Or not that I don't think people have been blind to it. I think they've just been afraid to speak out. But I think you're going to see a lot more pushback on this sort of thing. At least I'm being optimistic in saying that.
I think you're right. I think it's reached a level where, because the kind of messages I get from people now, whereas a couple years ago it used to be a little more like, hey, I kind of see what you're saying. Like these like people who didn't want to publicly show any support for what I was saying, but privately would sort of be like, I kind of get it, but I think you're making a mountain out of a molehill. I think this is an issue that's just, kind of at colleges and not in the mainstream. Those people now, a few short years later, they're like, quietly, again, private messages kind of thing. They're like, okay, I see what you're saying. I'm not like those people. I'm on the left. I'm progressive, but I'm not like those people. And it's like, okay, well then say something publicly. If it's reached that point for you, your woke breaking point, say something if you're not like those people.
Yeah, please. That's what being a liberal. I mean, when I called myself a liberal, I consider myself still a classical liberal, but I'm skewing so far to the right that it's not even funny. I still have liberal ideas, Western ideas about a lot of things, but there's a time we just have to draw a line in the sand and say no more.
Yeah. I think we're coming close to that time. I think you're right. Thank you for the super chat. Poetry Painter, who's here. Thanks for hanging out. $10 super chat. Thank you. She says there's a Salon article about Berlin before the Nazis came to power. It makes it clear that there was a lot of pedophilia happening there. My husband wants to shop now, so I got to jet. Oh, she has to leave. Yeah, okay, Berlin before the Nazis came to power, there was a lot of this kind of also makes me think of the fall of Rome and how much I saw Karen White's in the chat. He always talks about how libertarians are not libertines, that they're very different, and there are a lot of libertines currently in our society who are all about hedonism and anything goes, and yeah, I think we're at that place where now they're starting to push. We're seeing more and more of these videos and TED Talks and stuff where they're starting to say, hey, we need to call pedophiles minority attracted people so we don't offend them. And, we need to, I saw a headline this week about how maybe we should give pedophile or minority attracted people sex dolls that look like children, that maybe that would help curb their appetites. And yeah, look at your faces. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know what else curbs that appetite? Prison for life,
public caning,
wood chipper,
public hanging,
wood chipper.
You have to look at Maverick's comments, not the short recent one, the one above that. You got to put that on the screen, because I've heard this same thing from a few different people I know who are in the military.
My son is an air cadet. Yesterday, they had a pride officer talk. Oh my gosh, to them for 2 hours. Said that he would, quote, shut this squadron down if he heard people saying guys. Oh, because it's sexist?
Oh my God! Is somebody who's
it's not inclusive to all the many transes.
I served during Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And I think our military was a lot stronger back then, if this is what they're doing. I mean, I can't tell you how many times my first sergeant told me at one point that he would rip off my head and shit down my neck if I didn't learn to do things right. I'm sure they probably don't do that anymore.
That's offensive.
And that's why we're leaving all our equipment in the pits of Afghanistan. That shit would have never flown back in the 80s and 90s.
Because
can you imagine this? I always thought that it would be for different reasons that I would never join the military. This is why I will never join the military now. Can you imagine having to, oh my God.
I mean,
can you imagine having to sit there and talk to the pride officer? I'd grab a bazooka and put it in my mouth.
I get court-martialed because I'd slug them. I'm just like, good God. I served with all kinds of gay people, lesbians, bisexuals in the military. And, you know, we were perfectly happy, at least the ones that I knew. There's a lot of gay people in the military. They just didn't flaunt it. Just like you don't flaunt your sexuality if you're straight. You're not supposed to. It's conduct unbecoming.
It's like, it's nobody's business. It's like, I don't know.
And I see Adam's comment down there.
A sexual orientation is not a substitute for a personality.
Huh. No, but it is. They take it. Social justice says all of these different identity groups that you can now claim to be a part of, or say, this is who I, either some of them are immutable characteristics and some of them are, you just claim to be it, these identity groups. That is a substitute for their personality. That's what they put in their Twitter bios. That's how they present themselves to the world. That's who they are, is a list of characteristics, a list of groups.
Klinger from MASH, if they actually knew about that character, they would know he was pretending to be mentally ill so he would get sent home from the war. But they're propping him up as some kind of freaking poster child for trans identity. Good God.
Who is this character? I don't remember.
And the TV show MASH, he was the one that dressed like a woman very badly.
And try and get out of serving?
He was trying to be diagnosed as mentally ill, so they would send him home from the Korean War. He didn't want to be there anymore.
So Adam says Klinger from MASH is a poster child for the left. LOL. Nothing aberrant about him now at all.
Now, if you want to get kicked out for being mentally ill, just say like, "Oh, I go to church and I'm in a monogamous relationship and I want children and a nice little home." They'll send you right away.
Just say, "Guys," Mikey. Just say, "Hey guys."
Yeah, say, guys.
Boom. You're out of the military. Like, oh man. Okay.
The worst thing ever. Sorry, if I can rant for 1 second about that, because it just shows what hypocrites these people are. There's so many different little enjoyments that I've had that woke shit has killed for me. I used to love the show Survivor. I could never watch it again. It is so woke now. But so one of these like catchphrases on Survivor is every challenge that they had, the host would say, "Come on in, guys." So it was on for like 20 something years that they've had no problems. And then they have a big discussion one day on one of the recent shows that he's like, I need you guys to tell me, is the word are you offended by the word guys? And should I stop using it? And he was going to anyway, but he wanted to have his little televised moment. And so they're like, no, we don't care. And there's like a lesbian there. She doesn't care. No one cares. 2 days later, all the players come back and they're like, well, actually, we've discussed this amongst ourselves and we have decided that we are very uncomfortable by you saying guys. We are very triggered by the word guys. It's very offensive and you need to never say guys again. The best part of this, though, and there was this one insufferable gay guy who was like leading the charge with this. There's a compilation on YouTube of from that day forward on the rest of the series. This guy, him saying the word guys over and over and over and over 100 different times. Their words mean nothing. They don't mean anything that they say.
They've obviously never been to the Midwest because that's just kind of commonplace in the Midwest and the South, guys.
Nerdy girl. That's another one they ruined for me. They ruined the Housewives of New York.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Nerdy Girl says, Mikey, do you watch Real Housewives of New York? I could not watch that last season between COVID BS and BLM preaching. I couldn't do it.
Let me tell you. So first of all, I was already a little iffy about continuing it because my girl Bethany was not. I am a Bethany. I just want to be Bethany when I grow up. And I'm very upset because I was literally just talking about this with Brandon yesterday, and he tried to say that I'm a Dorinda, but I am not. I'm a Bethany. However, they ruined it. Like, that's the thing. The show is supposed to be, that's the thing, is woke stuff goes against what all of these shows are supposed to be about. The Real Housewives is supposed to be about delusional, entitled, uppity women who are probably a little racist. That's in the show. That's what makes it good. So they had to make a big announcement. Oh, we're bringing the first Black housewife of New York. And it's not just a woman who's Black, because they have plenty of other series where there are plenty
Atlanta,
of Black people.
That's my favorite one. And Nene is like my spirit animal. I love Nene, and she's as harsh and crude as it could be.
But they're not woke, so they're not just giving a sermon on critical race theory every day, but they get the wokest of the woke, and every episode is just a lecture. And then they have to fire all the people that have been on it from the beginning because, they were problematic. It's like, that's the point of the show.
Yeah. It's infecting I like what you said about how it's the opposite of the purpose of the show, because woke a lot of times will, when it infiltrates something like Christianity, for example, where it's the antithesis of Christianity, but it will infiltrate it and try to change it and take it over. And so even something as silly as a reality show that's all about competition and this, cattiness and all this, it will infiltrate and then change the very nature of like what people are looking for with that show. I thought of this weekend with not this weekend, this week. I've got my dates off. My husband and I got to travel and see family, and we went to a mall, which it feels like a blast from the past. You go in and there's almost no one there. Like, no one goes to malls anymore. It was very nostalgic. But in the mall, we walked by a Victoria's Secret, and I'm not kidding, every single mannequin they had out front, there were like 6 mannequins. They were all fat. They didn't have one of the slender mannequins. And then they had the big advertisements with the models on the side, and like 2 of them were obese. And my point is, I think we've reached a point with woke when it comes to the size acceptance too, like the fat positivity part, where now we're presenting that as like, well, this is the ideal. There is no ideal. That it's just as healthy and beautiful to be obese as it is to be what we used to consider the ideal, which is the slender. Like Victoria's Secret was always, very slender, very conventionally attractive women. And now Victoria's Secret is like, no, we're going to put obese women out here in underwear because that's woke, and that's showing that we're inclusive. And I don't know, this bothers me because I don't look like the very slender mannequins either, but they're an ideal. Like, they're an ideal though to aim to. Like, that's what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be like, some people are better at math. They're supposed to be. We live in a meritocracy where it's like some people are better at sports, some people are physically more attractive, some people are blessed in this way, some people are blessed in that way. And woke is basically saying, no. Nobody succeeds over anyone else in any way and in any category. And it's somehow offensive and oppressive for a bikini, like underwear lingerie place to show conventionally attractive models.
I'm going to channel Phil Hartman here. I am a red-blooded lesbian woman, and I mourn the loss of the Victoria's Secret Angels and the swimsuit competition and the Miss America pageant.
Yes. Right.
I was about to cry when you just said, like, some people are good looking and some people are good at math. I'm like, God, if anybody told me I'm good at math, I'm ending it. I don't need to be good at math.
Well, no, but I mean, they do the same thing in that area too when it comes to intellectual achievement, and they basically are saying, no, we have to get rid of the SAT and we have to get rid of admission standards because they're unfair, and we need to let everyone in equally based on race and sex and sexuality, not based on, if you're actually good at math or not. Like, we don't want to make anyone feel bad. It's all the same. No one wins.
Well, then why are they just, Asians have the highest level of prosperity in this country and probably in the world if you were to actually look in the statistics. And yet they're kept out of the top colleges because they're too smart. Why? It's not fair. And you're letting in people that I used to work in higher education administration, and it just pisses me off, the whole way that education has gone. It really does.
I believe it was just Columbia University said that they're not going to admit people based on SAT scores or any test scores. I don't know what the hell they're going to be basing it on then. Coloring books.
Oh, they've been trying to attack the SAT for decades, and they're finally making ground, like getting some ground on that, of trying to get rid of it completely. They say that SAT is racist, that it has inherent internalized bias towards any students who aren't straight white men. What are you talking about? I saw a whole thing about how it's skewed towards men, the SAT, because women don't take tests in the same way as men, and so we shouldn't be held to the same standard and be able to, demonstrate our knowledge in this way. It's so offensive. It's so offensive. I'm like, I'm a woman. I'm not intellectually challenged. like I don't need some special remedial version because I'm a woman. Like,
no.
See, if I knew this, I could have just back in the day said that I was failing classes for being gay, and not because I was like cutting class smoking cigarettes in the parking lot. It was just by happenstance of being gay. It's all for the tests were for straight white males.
Well, I don't want somebody that can't score high enough on the reasoning version of the essay, the reasoning part of the ACT or the SAT, being the engineer that designs my house or my car, or being my doctor. I don't want that. I don't care what you look like. I want you to be competent at what you're doing.
Yes.
That's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
Did you see the airline that just came out with they're going to have the all LGBT XYZ LMNOP flight crew?
No. Good luck with that.
And I would jump. I don't need a parachute. I would jump.
Wait a minute. Isn't that
I want a competent pilot?
Like they're saying we're not going to hire you if you're not gay?
Not anymore. Not in progressive utopia.
By the way, how is that new? Aren't most flight crews all gay?
I think we are adequately represented among flight attendants.
Right?
I don't know about the pilots. I don't care as long as they don't crash the plane. That's all I really care about.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of some of my recent. I think it's like, well, pretty good representation already. Okay, I have before I switch gears like into something totally different that I want to talk to you about, Tracy, in particular. First, Mikey, you were saying if you could do a troll, if that Kayla Lemieux big titty professor is a troll, that you wish you'd come up with that. Okay, so I have a proposed troll, you guys, and hear me out. And if you're in the chat, tell me what you think about this. My husband and I were talking about music on our drive yesterday, and I was thinking about different bands who haven't been canceled yet for their offensive and oppressive names. So like you said, in the military now, they're saying you can't say guys. You can't say guys because it's sexist and it doesn't include women. Okay, so Mumford and Sons. Okay, why the exclusion? Why isn't it Mumford and Children? Why have it? It's oppressive. And are there even any women in the band? Why not?
No.
Right? Okay.
Well, and they canceled one of their members for reading Andy No's book.
They did.
So that's a perfect one.
They let one of their members go. They canceled one of their members for being a wrong thinker. So I think we should start a troll campaign and a petition to get Mumford and Sons to change their name to Mumford and Children, Mumford and non-gender specific children. And we should see if the real wokies run with it. Like if we do it the right way, they'll pick it up and run with it and be like, yes, it's offensive. Look, the Chicks changed their name. They still need to change. Chicks is offensive, by the way. They dropped the Dixie, but they still called the Chicks. I think they need to change. Chicks is exclusionary.
The Chicks with dicks.
They don't want to see my my gay rebel flag. Then I have one that is a rebel flag, but it has the gay colors in it.
Oh no.
I live in a very diverse area. I live out in the boonies, but it's still very diverse. Everybody here has a rebel flag. I don't care what color they are. They all have rebel flags. The Latinos, the African Americans, we all run around with rebel flags because I don't think they really get what that flag means to people in the South. It means a rebellious spirit. You're not going to tread on me. kind of thing. It doesn't have anything to do with slavery. Yes, okay, you can associate slavery with it, but that's not what it means to us down here. At least not where I live.
In Texas, similar thing. I think I've talked about this on the show before. Actually, Mr. Chris and I have talked about it. That flag for many people, as you said, just means sticking it to the man. It means rebellious spirit, anti-authoritarianism. And in my small town where I'm from in South Carolina, they had whenever they would do the market days and everybody would put up their booths, there was one guy who his whole booth was just rebel flag stuff that he would sell, like lighters and flags and cups and everything. It's a black guy, of course. Like, it doesn't, like you said, everyone would kind of use that flag. It's only in recent years that they're trying to tell people, oh, no. This flag only means one thing, always only means this one thing. No, it can mean different things to different people. So that's funny. Do you have a picture of your rainbow?
I'll find one. I'll get one and try to share it on Facebook. I don't want to get canceled, but I don't have one right now I can grab.
Can I tell you my troll I wanted to do?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this for a year. I don't know why I've never done. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So, you know how with sports, it only ever goes in one direction. It's always that they want biological males in women's sports. It's always women's sports. You will never hear, they aren't saying women should go into men's sports because they can play make-believe all they want. Deep down, they know what biology is. They know that there's a difference. So I want to start a campaign for equal rights and trans rights to get women into men's sports. And we need more women in football. We need more women. Trans men. Trans men are men. So we need to get biological females, trans men, into football, into powerlifting, into MMA. Yep. And I'm going to start a whole initiative. And it's going to be called Trans Rights in Athletic Performance, or TRAP. I'm gonna start a whole thing, and I'm gonna go to all the alphabet groups, be like, we're petitioning for trans rights in sports. We do, and you'll watch them all go dead fucking silent, because no matter what they say, they know biology exists.
You just need to get a few good women to do it. Like, could you see, almost like Alex Stein? Remember when he dressed like the trans woman swimmer at the city council meeting? Was like, I'm a woman. Why won't you let me swim? You just need a few women who obviously can't play football like myself out there being like, I am a man. Why won't you let me in the NFL? I'll take the
concussion to prove a point. I will take the concussion to prove a point.
Who wouldn't want to watch this?
Yeah, we'll never hear them say, oh, we need more women in men's sports. We just need to destroy women's sports.
Right.
I almost feel like,
look what I found.
Women are, that's exactly what I have.
What were you saying, Tracy?
No, I really think it's impartial. You know, women are sort of being erased. And I really feel with all the other gender ideology, especially among children, with the children, that lesbians and gay men are being erased at the child level, because the vast majority of these gender confused children would either probably grow out of it completely and identify with the sex they were born, or they're just gay.
Yeah.
And they're not allowed to be just gay. They have to be non-binary or trans, you know.
It's so sad. And you're right. I think it's affecting a lot of women, especially young girls, who might otherwise either just be tomboys or be attracted to women, be lesbians eventually, but they're being confused by the way this is presented now in mainstream society, as if this is totally normal. It's not a mental disorder, even though it is called gender dysphoria, and we know that there's something mentally wrong if you feel like, I can't live in my body, I have to do surgery on it, like to remove my sex organs. And that's no longer odd. That's just normal. And so that's the way it's being presented to kids. And if you watch a lot of these detransition videos, I was just rereading an article about Chloe Cole this week, and she was saying, you know, at the age of 12, I decided I was trans, started medically transition, I think at 13, had both of her breasts removed at 15. or 16, 15. And a year later realized she had made a mistake and she was wrong. And she said, I've been failed by the system. Like, I lost my organs to this as a child. And I just think it's incredibly, we're going to look back at this, hopefully, if things go the right way. And if you're right, Tracy, we're going to look back at this and say, how could we ever have allowed doctors and parents to do this to kids? You know,
I was watching a Dr. Phil clip. There was a neurologist. She's Asian American. I'm not sure. I can't remember her name, but she was giving it. Eli Urich was one of the guests on there, and they were talking about how, everybody has the right to gender-affirming care. And one of her things was, she said, I actually work with people that want to detransition. She told all the statistics. And then she actually spoke out against social transitioning, which was a new point that I hadn't even thought about. When they start letting people, maybe they don't put them on hormone blockers, but they start letting them dress as the opposite sex and identify as the opposite sex. She says to her and her work, that is a kind of a gateway to, she says, if you allow them to social transition, they've been doing it for 5 or 6 years, and now they've decided they've changed their mind. They're going to be too embarrassed to say, hey, this was all a 5-year mistake. And then they're under tremendous pressure to go ahead and start the medical transition at that point.
Yes, because you're putting them on a path already. You're choosing a path. You're saying it's this path. And one of the whistleblowers who just came out, the woman who I think her name is Julie. It's been a week or two since I talked about her, but the one who's married to herself is a queer, describes herself as a queer woman who's married to a trans man. So she's married to a biological woman who lives as a man. She came out after working, her whole career has been in transing kids, came out, blew the whistle, said, I don't agree with this anymore. Here's what I've seen. Here's all the crazy, alarming things I've seen. And she echoed what you just said, Tracy. She was like, we are telling children, okay, or telling parents that what we're supposed to do is immediately socially transition them. Well, now you've already made a choice for a path. You're not actually allowing them to be free and figure out what they want. You're saying, no, you are this other sex. I'm going to start calling you by the pronouns, everything. Like, we're going to tell everyone your new name, all of it. They're on that path now towards medical intervention.
Yep.
Okay, so I want to switch. I don't know how much time I have with you guys remaining, but I want to switch gears since I've got Tracy. And I forgot to say at the beginning, if you're not familiar with these guys, I just introduced them as friends and regulars on the show. But if you're not familiar with them, Mike Harlow, you can find here on YouTube. It's linked below in the video description. And also here are his links. So you can find him on Instagram and Twitter as well. Not Mike Harlow and Sleepy Harlow. Very funny, does some really funny impressions. And then Tracy, you have a show called Keto and Krime. Here are your links. And you're a big true crime aficionado. And I wanted to switch gears completely and ask you to give us an update on this Murdaugh. Is that how you say it? The Murdaugh murder?
I've heard it pronounced so many ways, Murdaugh, and then the actual man in question, Alex Murdaugh, he pronounced it with the k on the end, so I'm going to say Murdaugh. But Alex Murdaugh, he comes from a very long line of prominent politicians and attorneys in South Carolina, the South Carolina Low Country, that entire bottom region. They pretty much controlled that. They were solicitors, which means they were prosecutors. They were heavily placed politicians, very wealthy family. And they have had just this slew of stuff from scandal, murder, death. He was most recently on trial for the murder of his youngest son, Paul, and his estranged wife, Maggie, and was found guilty last night and sentenced to life in prison just this morning about 10:30 Eastern time. But it goes back a lot further than that. There's been a lot of scandal. It goes all the way back. This current iteration, if I can just go off on a tangent, I'll shut up. Tell me to shut up if I'm spouting off.
Well, hey, real quick, let me just say before you go off on the tangent, Papana, I'm sorry. She says one sad story after another. I can't. I'm sorry. But here's the silver lining of this sad story. I love when the bad guy gets it. And this guy just got sentenced to life in prison. I think justice was done. I don't know all the updates, but I do know Tracy wasn't sure he was going to be convicted because of all his connections. So the silver lining here is that I think they got the guilty guy. So anyway, I didn't mean to take you off your
Oh,
tangent.
No. Please, if I don't mean to bogart the show, if I'm
No, please, I want to hear about it because I haven't been following it.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
Well, it goes back to 2015 with a hit and run death of a young man by the name of Stephen Smith, who was an openly gay high school friend of Alex's oldest son, Buster. Okay. And supposedly later on, a private investigator, Buster. That's his nickname. It's not his real name. But
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 if you're naming your son Buster, red flag. I don't trust them. I don't trust them.
But he was supposedly a good friend of Buster's, and later on, it was ruled a hit and run, even though there was a lot of evidence saying that it wasn't a hit and run, and because he was just found dead in the middle of a 2-lane highway with his car parked miles away. So, sorry, I'm just looking at Rib Rascal. Tracy smokes too, bitch. That just got me tickled. I actually don't. I do drink wine though. But a private investigator hired by his mother, Stephen Smith's mother, later revealed that there might have been a sexual relationship between Buster Murdoch and Stephen. So that case was reopened once Alex was arrested for the murder of his wife and youngest son. So that is still ongoing investigation. Wow. We don't know where that's going to go. And so fast forward to 2018, you had the Murdoch's longtime housekeeper, a woman by the name of Gloria Satterfield. And here we go with staircases again. She tripped over the family dog and fell down a staircase and died. And so
tripped.
Yeah. So it was never turned over to the coroner or anything like that. It was ruled accidental. He had a commercial policy on her. He promised to share that with her family and did not. And they ended up having to go to court, and he was ordered to pay them $4 million to date, has not done that.
Wow.
2019.
There's a body count in this guy's, the Clintons. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking that.
2019, Paul, one of the young son that was murdered, was involved in a drunken boating accident that killed a 19-year-old woman by the name of Mallory Beach. So he was about to stand trial for reckless endangerment, vehicular, or murder with a boat, due to driving, boating while intoxicated. And then they were killed in 2019, Maggie and Paul, at the dog kennels on the Murdo estate. His wife and son. With no witnesses, no DNA, nothing. Of course, they turned to him. And then to add insult to injury, after he was charged, Alex was changing a flat tire on a highway there in Hampton County, South Carolina. Yes, 2021, Laura. Sorry about that. The boating accident was in 2019. But, and somebody fired a shot at him.
Okay.
And so it later came out that he had hired that person to shoot at him. It was like a suicide by murder kind of thing that failed. And then his law firm pretty much fired him, censored him. He lost his license to practice law because it came out he has embezzled and cheated clients, insurance companies, the firm out of countless millions of dollars. And so he's about to stand trial for 99 counts of financial fraud as well.
And so why, with all of this shady happenings in his life and the evidence that they compiled against him, why did you think he was going to get off?
Because of his connections and the fact, they put him on the stand, which is highly unusual in a murder case, to put the accused on the stand. And you usually only do that. And I've heard Nick Rekieta talk about it. I've heard Ben Shapiro talked about it. I've heard Nate the lawyer talk about it, that you do not put the accused on the stand unless you are 100% sure that they are innocent. And so that shocked me. I'm like, well, maybe. Mm-hmm. And then the prosecutor was such a bulldog on cross-exam, and he kept hipping in on the financial crimes and just painting this man as an absolute asshole. And so which he is. And I was of the opinion that what the defense was putting up was that someone else did this. Somebody that was pissed off at the Murdochs for the financial crimes, maybe the family of Mallory Beach. You know, somebody was mad and they took them out, you know, as revenge. And so the prosecutor were hammering in on what a bad person Murdoch was. I almost thought they were making the defense's case for them, if that makes sense.
Wow.
I said,
Okay.
all you have to do is have one reasonable doubt. So if they show him as a real butthole that a bunch of people hated, they might prove the defense's case for them. And so that was my reasoning.
Okay, to your point, Laura in chat just says, I thought he was guilty until I watched the trial, and then I was unsure. I would have voted not guilty. Because you're saying they did the prosecution by showing what a jerk he was, did the defense's job for them by saying, look, a lot of people had reason to want to frame him, kind of thing. Wow. Well, I want to read more about it.
I saw somebody in chat said they thought it wasn't a reasonable death. That's how I felt with the staircase, is that I personally thought he did it, but that it wasn't beyond a reasonable doubt, that I would have had to vote not guilty if I were there.
Oh, no, I would have
clearly
voted guilty
did it.
all over
I
Michael
know.
Peterson. The staircase. We've talked about this before. His silly, an owl did it. Oh, she fell down the stairs and then it was an owl. No.
And to comment on Wicked Psychic's comment, I'm not basing what I know on I haven't even seen the Netflix series yet. I'm going to watch it this weekend.
I'm just going to ask, is there a series? I want to watch it.
Yeah, I'm basing everything I know from news articles, the police reports, the court, transcripts, hearing transcripts. Everything I know is based on that, not the docuseries.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think they know what a huge draw true crime has become because they got that docuseries out while the trial was happening. Like, they didn't wait to see what the result was going to be. They're just like, let's get the show out. I think it remains. People remain fascinated by it because I've said this before, but I think that people want to try and figure out evil. Like, what is evil? What causes people to do something this evil, like murder your family? And it continues to be a draw for that reason. Because people, I mean, I'm one of the people that's going to watch that series, of course. Anyway, well, thank you, Tracy. You have a video coming out about this, or it's already out?
The one I put out this morning includes the verdict and little highlights from the trial, and then I have a deep dive on the entire family and their history in the county that is linked to that video. So if you want to see my deep dive, just go to the current video. You'll have the other video at the top. Click on that one, and that's my deep dive on the case.
Cool. So Keto and Krime, you guys can go watch that video there. Maverick says, Tracy, with that accent, you can Bogart anything. And Patriotic Gestalt, thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I should mention, I always forget to mention, we do have a Subscribe Star, Locals, and a Patreon. Plus, you can also become a member here at YouTube if you want to support the show. Tatsusama, thanks for the super sticker. I can't remember what this currency is. Is that Czech? I think it's Czech. Thank you for the check. Okay, I think that's it. Well, what's on your mind, Mikey? Is there anything? I know we just took a turn into true crime. We can continue.
I love it. I'm always all about talking murder.
Why do you think? I'm just, people have heard my opinions about this lots of times, I'm sure. But why do you think people are so fascinated by true crime?
I think for a lot of people, they want to know that other people's lives suck worse than theirs do. Like,
really?
Well, life sucks, but nobody threw us down the staircase. Nobody ran us over with their car. Things are good. No, I'm kidding. I think people like them. I think it's the same reason people love Murder, She Wrote, or, it's the mystery aspect, figuring it out. Everyone wants to play detective.
And that's kind of getting a resurgence in entertainment, not just documentaries, but like you've got the Menu, Knives Out, the brand new Liam Neeson movie, Marlowe. My wife and I went and saw that 2 weeks ago. It's just an excellent old school crime noir PI movie, kind of like Sam Spade. It's probably going to be made into a series. Marlowe.
Okay.
And
what we are 1 week really away from today, correct?
What?
Oh, Scream 6 today. 1 week from today.
Yeah, I'm having a Scream stream after Scream 6 comes out. Tracy will be on. Keri, are you all caught up on Scream 1 through 5?
I'm not. A shocker. I don't think I could be on your Scream 6.
We have
But
to change that the next time I see you.
when is that happen? That's going to be on your channel, Mikey?
The movie comes out. Well, of course, I'm going at like midnight on Thursday, but it comes out on Friday, and then either Sunday or Monday, I'm doing Scream stream.
Okay, so people can tune in, and Tracy's going to be one of your guests. That sounds fun. Yes. Even though I'm not caught up on Scream, I might tune in and watch and see what you have to say about it. Because I love
no spoilers. You can.
I love it. I love your excitement about it.
Kirby is back, and that's all I care about.
In the chat was not having it with Scream 5, and he was a little bit right, but I'm still excited, even though they should have paid Nev Campbell every cent she's worth. I'm still excited about it. See, you never should have asked what's on my mind, because this is what's on my mind. It's gonna be so good.
The Front Porch Conservative. Hello, sir. This is a excellent gentleman I got to meet in person in Orlando at Chrissy Mayr's show. He says, sorry, I haven't been able to pop in for a spell, but life. Love you all. And I'm just meeting Tracy. You all are great. Well, welcome.
Well, nice to meet you too, Mr. Front Porch Conservative.
He's always got a nice hat on in his picture. So
does he have a YouTube channel as well?
I think he just started one. I think I saw a video of his. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, go subscribe to him.
Cool. Okay, I got to check it out. I think I saw him share a video. I just haven't watched it yet. Well, what were you saying before Mikey was talking about Scream, Tracy?
Oh, no, it's fine. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good? Okay. Well,
we have a windstorm here right now, and our power just went out. So if things suddenly change, that's what it is. So
it's all over. Like Mikey's got snow. You've got the windstorm. We had tornadoes yesterday. My town siren, which goes off every day at noon for practice, was going off for real last night. Which it's funny. My town is small, and you can hear the siren wherever you are. So they're just telling you, "Hey, tornado." It's just been crazy, like crazy weather. I just want to thank you guys for hanging out. I needed a day just hanging out with friends on the show, having some fun, laughing about the stuff in the news. Tell people where they can find you if they want to tune in.
You can find me over on Keto and Krime. That's keto like the diet, and crime with a K here on YouTube. And there's links to everything else I have there. I'm also on I'm on Minds, though not as much as I would like to be. I'm also on Odyssey and Facebook. That's pretty much where you'll find me.
And subscribe to her because she's amazing. We love you, Tracy. Follow me on the stuff. I am working. It is my goal this year to go full time with making content. So I'm working on a lot more stuff. So subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have a live in-person show with Gino Bisconti, who we've been on deprogram before. So that's Monday. Tuesday or Wednesday, I have a new video coming out. My last one is of me pretending to be Eliza Blue. So watch that. I have a bunch of fun stuff coming. I've one with puppets I'm working on. I can't wait
for the puppet one.
I watched the entire video that they show preschoolers with the teachers. It's like a whole documentary about preschoolers. And they have a non-binary black puppet. So I, of course, actually, I can show you. So I will be joined by a very special friend for that video. Her name is Reality.
Oh, yes.
And Reality is pissed and has some things to say about the preschool non-binary puppet show. So subscribe to my channel. And if you like my stuff also, if you like my stuff, I have locals, I have Patreon. I'm moving to Florida in September, and I have a Give, Send, Go for it. It's givesendgo.com/escape from New York. If you like my stuff, I'm trying to do like more elaborate videos and shit. Help me be a better grifter.
You're so funny. I love you're doing more comedy. We have our first deprogram comedy sketch coming out soon. I'm not sure if I should put it out today. It's a Friday. I'm not sure. It's finally done. It took a while to edit. My husband, bless his heart, that we had so many audio problems. So he's been working on it for weeks trying to fix the audio. I think it's finally ready to go. So when that comes out, I'll just say, if you guys are fans of deprogram and you're fans of comedy, please give it a watch. Because this is different for my channel, I'm very excited about it, and I hope you'll share it if you find it funny. And our friend Peter Feliciano, the comedian musician from Conservative, he's in it with me, so that's exciting.
Can't wait. I'm so excited.
Thank you guys so much. Have a
Thank you.
great weekend.
Same.
I love you. I
Thank
missed
you.
you guys.
I missed you guys so much too.
Can we come hang out on your channel, Tracy, soon and just do like a completely true crime?
Yeah,
topic?
just
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Just pick a case, pick a horror movie, whatever you want to pick, and we'll do it.
Okay.
That is literally how me and Tracy first met. That she messaged me and she was like, "Would you want to come on my show to talk about Scream?" I'm like, I have been waiting for this message my entire life. She really had to twist my arm into it.
I had so much fun hanging out with you guys doing horror movie lists. So yes, I want to come back on if you'll have me.
Yeah.
So.
That or absolutely. That or dark history, weird history. I just did a video on Charles Jockin, the head baker on the Titanic that survived the sinking because he was too drunk to freeze to death. That was a fun video. Yes, he was too drunk. He's actually in the movie Titanic. He's the one that when Rose falls down, he picks her up and says, "Excuse me, ma'am." And then when they're like up on the railing and it's going down, that guy in the all white with the
and they show him drinking
out of his flask. Yeah, that was him.
Oh my goodness,
way,
I've never even heard that story.
I just went to see Titanic 3D. It was amazing. It's so good. It's so good. You guys have to see it.
My husband and I, well, he had never seen Titanic, so we just watched it. And actually, he was reading a lot of history about it, but I hadn't heard that story, Tracy. But
yeah, he was one of the few crew members that survived.
Yeah, he actually, but he turned me on to there's a whole conspiracy theory about the Federal Reserve and the Titanic. That's all I'll say. I don't know what I think about it, but if you want to go down a rabbit hole, a conspiracy theory rabbit hole, look up the Titanic and the Federal Reserve. But
check that out.
Okay, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. I hope you have a great weekend. It's Friday, so Friday Night Tights is tonight. Got my new erotic hat. Maybe I'll see some of you guys in the chat. Have a good night, guys. Bye.